Over the years at the Three Peaks, we've seen many people come back and do the race numerous times. It's famous for that, and it's a race that honours people who've completed it a number of times. Today, I've got a special treat for you. We've had nobody come anywhere near the number of race completions in the female category as our guest today. She also won the race in 1993, and this year will be her 24th completion. And the rider is Ruth Gamwell. So Ruth, this will be your 24th completion, I think. Is that correct?
I think so, yeah.
So you've had 23 successful completions and one win. Is that right? Or have
Yeah,
you
yeah. Many years ago.
Excellent. And I noticed just looking through the entries how much more times you've ridden the Three Peaks than a lot of people. So the nearest woman in this year's race, Heather Tufts, has done it 11 times, and you've done it 23. So you've done it more than 2 times the amount of completions than the second woman, basically. It's going to be a long time, and before anyone even matches your record if you stop now. Tell us about it. Tell us about your why you keep coming back. What is it about the Three Peaks?
Well, again, not sure if it's a good thing or whether it just confirms I'm just a bit odd. Well, yeah, I think it just gets in you, doesn't it? I think I first did it in 1993 when I was 18. Then I must have had a couple of years away from it. Came back in 1996, and then, other than significant injuries, children, I think I've sort of done it most years since. It's just that draws you back in every September. Yeah,
and so just a little bit of history here about the actual race itself. So in 93, was that did you do the old descent off Ingleborough?
Yeah, that was the old course. Yeah,
the last year of the old course, basically. So for anyone unfamiliar with that, this was before we came down to Coldcoats. We used to come straight off the front of Ingleborough and basically branch right and come out near the caves, didn't we, on the top?
Yeah, down that little lane.
I never did. My first Three Peaks was a couple of years after yours in 95, so I've never done that route, but I have been to watch it. I had been to watch it then. Wow.
Yeah, I can't quite remember that. I seem to remember the first few years it was always bad weather, which and again, obviously a lot less popular. It wasn't as like the road race as it is now down the road. It was a bit more sedate at that first bit because you didn't go as far down the road from memory either, but it could have done again long time ago.
Well, your mind has probably deliberately blanked it out to protect you.
Yeah.
Were you when you finished your first one, do you remember whether you thought, oh, I really like this? Because you said there was a couple of years gap, or was that just a kind of did you realize you were going to keep coming back, or was it just the way?
No, I don't think. Again, I was that young at that point. I think it was sort of like I was working, and I think I just sort of drifted off away from cycling for a couple of years at that point, and then obviously got keen again, sort of like in my 20s, and then just sort of been coming back most years since.
Yeah. Which year did you win?
1996.
Your second attempt?
I think so. Yeah, there might be. I can't remember whether I did it in 95, but yeah, 96 was. I don't know there wasn't many of us in it in them days though. Female.
No, and that's one of the things. So there are 34 this year. There's been in the 50s, I think, almost 60 at one point. And I think it's a demographic that a little bit like the youth riders of both genders. I think the women generally in the race will, in times when cycling generally is struggling a bit more for entries, I think the women's fields do get smaller. We've seen it in the national trophies a little bit as well at the moment.
Yeah.
It's difficult to pinpoint what it is, but I think there's definitely a peer thing. If you get, uh, a bunch of friends riding it, then they'll all enter it. And I think that's kind of, yeah, that's how it goes. But hopefully we can get that back up. Elsie, my daughter's riding it this year,
Yeah. It's
which will
really
be
good. Yeah.
nice. And there are two junior women riding, which is a really good sign, given that there's no junior men this year, which is
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
shocking.
Yeah.
Yeah, so hopefully, hopefully it's still like the sport, but we're still heading a bit towards gender equality, but I hope so anyway. I hope so.
Yeah. It's definitely a lot more positive than it was. I don't. I was thinking about that this year. Whether the gravel events have taken a few of the women over. They've chosen to do them earlier on in the year than the peaks. I'm not sure.
Yeah, yeah, there's certainly definitely more interesting events to enter than there was in 1993.
Yeah.
If you're interested in riding off-road. Um, so you'll have a lot of tales and a lot of stories, good years and bad years. Have you finished all of the ones you started?
Yes, I have. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I've had a few years where I've had punctures, um, but no major mechanicals. Touch wood.
Good. Yeah, long may it last.
Yeah.
I've only had, yeah, myself. I snapped a seat post at literally just coming off the neutralized section one year, and I just thought,
Really.
right, that's it. I'm not going to carry on. That's a sign. But yeah. You get committed to the race, don't you? You want to finish, and I've seen people finishing tatty bits of bikes by the
Yeah.
end of it. You
Yeah.
definitely
Yeah. Yeah.
want to finish when you've done all.
Obviously, the introduction of the pits, which I think was done 2 years ago, obviously it made quite a bit of a difference, because obviously coming off Penny Ghent, you see people running down the road now where you used to obviously be able to pick up a bike at the bottom. But again, I think with the numbers now, they had to introduce that, because
Yeah.
the spectators on Penny Ghent started to become an issue, because you sort of coming into the riding line, really.
Yeah,
So
yeah, with two-way riders as well, and spectator. There's nowhere sensible for anybody to be able to help really at Penang. And the parking, I don't
uh,
think it's a brilliant place to encourage a lot of parking in
no,
Hawaii. It's a bit chaotic, so I
yeah.
think we
I've,
all.
I've, I've been told supporting the race is harder than riding it. That's what I get
Mm.
told most years.
I have, I have a wife who will definitely vouch for that. Definitely, yeah, and I have kind of experienced that the one year that I took out because of a shoulder injury and came to spectate. I Yeah, I was quite shocked by the absolute chaos for the supporters. It was they were fraught. They were worried about getting from A to B quickly enough for some of the faster riders, parking, and also just the traffic these days. The Yorkshire Dales, a busy place. There's
Yeah,
motorbikes. I mean, thankfully, at a weekend, there's no wagons, but it's a quarrying area. And if you ever
yeah,
go down there in the week, that road between Ribblehead and Horton is shocking
yeah,
for the big, big quarry wagons and things.
yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, well used roads anyway. That makes a difference. Um, the so coming back to your win, was that, do you think, your best ride? Were you just on good form there, or did everything just go right for you? Was it you actually your fastest time?
No, again, let me find out my scraps of paper. Um, no, I think my fastest times would be more recent.
I think
Just
maybe because the course is getting a little bit faster. It's certainly
I've got all my little sport ident things here, so that's it.
brilliant. You keep them all together.
Well, most of them. I've lost a few. I like the years when I get two, one for the fell run and one for the one for the cyclo-cross. Um, so no, it wasn't my fastest. The year I won, I did it in 4:56. I think my fastest time, looking here, is 4:17.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, Again, more recent times, every year's been barred with lots of injuries. Again, broken shoulders, broken collarbones, broken backs. So
Oh,
um, it's been a bit. 2023, I got knocked off by a car 2 days before the event, and broke my back. I didn't know at the time, but I was lying on the floor saying, "I've got to get up because I've got 3 peaks on Sunday." But yeah, I didn't make 2023. Yeah, but
wow,
yeah, ridden it pregnant, ridden it with broken collarbones and shoulders and all sorts.
brilliant. Yeah, yeah. Well, and that's commitment, isn't it? Should we want to be there? Just quickly coming on to the fell race. So
Yeah,
I've done that. I've completed that 5 times. How many times have you done the fell race?
three, three.
Uh,
I think.
It's 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 hard, isn't it?
Yeah, 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 yeah,
I
yeah,
think coming back from I've done a lot of fell racing and I had done at the time, but coming down from Ingleborough to Horton when you've run that far, it's so
yeah.
hard.
Never ending. And then when you get to see the tent, you think, "Oh, I'm nearly there," but you're not.
No,
You
it's
just,
really shocks me every time I do it. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um,
I do like it, but the cut-offs are very tight for me at the back end anyway. So it's you sort of end up clock watching
right.
most of the day, and then that takes the edge off it. Really,
Yeah.
you're running down because obviously you come down to Cold Coats, not Cold Coats, Chapel Dale,
Yeah.
the other way down the lane. And I've often been looking at my watch going down there, going, I've got to make the cut off. Which,
Yeah.
yeah, and I tend to get, I'm like a diesel engine. I tend to get better as the time goes on. So obviously, if I once I'd made the cut off, I was ticking off runners, sort of going over Ingleborough. But you have to get there, don't you?
Yeah. 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 So back to the cycle race. What's your uh it generally people will say, I think that the general understanding is it becomes less of a runner's race and more of a rider's race the further you get into it. You know, Ingleborough is definitely a runner's mountain. Then Wernside's a bit 50-50, and you definitely need the riding skills on and off the bike coming down Whernside quite a lot. And then Pennygent is really a rider's hill. Um, but they get harder because you're tired, don't they? I think that's the thing. You get more tired as you go along. So, which is your favorite if you had to, which suits you most as a person?
So no, normally I'm coming round at Pennygent. I've sort of warmed up by then. So as I say, and that is, as you say, that is a rider's climb. So that's always the favourite if you're on a reason, a good day, because
Yeah.
you're coming round and you're ticking off riders, as you say. Um, Ingleborough is always worse. Simon Fell's just horrendous. It's
Mm.
like, and obviously, I'm not at the pointy end, so you just see this stream of riders just going up ahead of you, and you turn around and there's a few people behind you, and you're like, oh no, keep going, keep going.
Well, my brother made a little vlog of the race last year. He was absolutely next to the cutoff all the time, or most of the time, and it was quite amazing. When he some of the little clips he got of just he got his camera out now and again of how lonely it was at the back and
Yeah,
that feeling. And
yeah,
I know someone who didn't make the cutoff as well last year. She wasn't on a brilliant day, and it was her first attempt, and yeah, I think you can really feel that that clock watching thing going on. It must be pretty grim, but yeah,
yeah.
you've
And
not you've
and
not
again,
approached that in the Three Peaks yet, not in the cycle race.
there was the year again, the the sheep dip year, I always call it, when we were going up Pennygent and there was the
2012.
flood. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Was that 2012? That was like horrendous, wasn't it? It was
yeah,
just the weather was awful, and I did over 6 hours there, so I must have been close. I don't remember it being
yeah,
close, but
yeah.
I must have been, and that must, yeah. I just remember coming over the brow of that hill on the lane at Pennygent and just saying to somebody, "Is it rideable?" Just ploughing into it, and obviously the water just came up, didn't it? Right. Well, it felt like it came up to your neck.
Yeah, yeah, and it
Yeah.
I mean, ultimately, it was rideable unless you hit something underneath there that you couldn't see, and then it became not rideable.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, so that
deep,
was
deep puddles. Yeah. That year, interestingly, I've got a good kind of school friend from over your way who I'd been trying to twist his arm to come and ride the Three Peaks. He's a kind of fairly casual rider, but he'd done a little bit on a cross bike, and that was the year I asked him to come along, and he got as far as Ribblehead, and he's never been back.
yeah.
Which is,
No, no.
obviously not a very nice year for an introduction to the ride.
Yeah, yeah. That one, and then there was one in the 90s that was terrible as well. Again, they all merged, don't they? But
Yeah.
a couple of years have been very bad weather.
Yeah, I think it was my first or second. Yeah, maybe 90. I don't know. Maybe the year you won, 96. I think
Could
was
have
quite.
been, could have been.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, it's quite grim.
yeah,
And of course, I think what did used to happen then and doesn't as much now because of the way the course has evolved was you were quite affected by some of the kind of bogs, basically.
oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
You
Coming off coming off Whernside, it used to have that carpet on it, didn't it?
yeah, yeah,
And where the
little
carpet
boards.
wasn't, it was just peat bog.
Yeah.
Yeah, obviously the trails developed a lot, hasn't it? With obviously so much heavy use with the walkers. Um, we walked up Whernside just the other week, and they've done even more work on it.
Hmm.
And then obviously we've just got the slabs now, haven't you, in the drainage ditches. But before it was just peat bog and take your
Yeah.
pick. I mean that's
Yeah.
still on the case on Ingleborough, isn't it? But we haven't had a real wet one for a while.
We haven't. I mean, we've both done some wet ones on Ingleborough, and we kind of know what that descent's like, though, in the wet. But I'm interested in what the first really wet year is going to do to the new part of Pennygent, the where we come off the top over the moorland there. Basically, we haven't had a wet year
Yeah,
yet, and
yeah,
that's definitely got potential to catch a few people out when they're tired. I think the
yeah,
new top of Pennygent. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, again, unless it rains a lot in the next few weeks, it's still going to be dry because of the summer we've had.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
which I think is a good thing.
Yeah, they're funnier those bugs. You can get like a week of rain and they're still rock hard because it needs a lot really to absorb. Yeah, that's the top layer. Yeah, and just a bit about the bikes and how bikes have obviously developed since you'll have first done it and since I first did it in the 90s. Tell us about the bike you ride at the moment. Do you do anything special for the peaks? You change any of the gears or?
No, just always again the lowest gear you can get, so you can ride up most of Pennygent. I always go for as obviously riding for me is more beneficial. I've just got a titanium gravel bike at the moment that's doing everything. Um, Again, it just needs to be bomb proof, doesn't it? It's not always the lightest and fanciest bike that's gonna get you around. It needs to be just solid and the tire choice. The tire choice is always a topic of conversation. And again, tubulars, tubs. We've gone through everything.
Hmm.
Um, Again, I can't remember what they were called. Them really heavy ones.
Land cruisers.
Yeah. I've
Yeah.
fortunately never gone for them
No,
because
I've never had them. I had some similar at the same sort of era. We used to put me and a couple of the wheelbase lads used to put Maxis. Oh, name will come to me. There was a Maxis one that was also a quite really thick sidewall and kind of
yeah. I
strong.
don't think I'd be able to pick up a bike with those Land Cruisers on. They were that heavy. Uh,
No, no. I mean,
uh,
that's always been the compromise, hasn't it? Because a puncture will cost you way more time than a heavy bike will, but a light, nimble bike keeps your spirit high, and it makes you
yeah,
want to
yeah,
ride
yeah,
faster. You just feel dragged down by a heavy bike.
yeah, yeah. But after the year I had a puncher, it was just always riding with like 80 psi in.
Mm.
So you just used to get an absolute battering. I've never done it with what they called sealant in.
No, oh really?
I've
Tubeless.
always I've
Yeah.
always gone for tubes, so I think this year's going to be the first year I try the old sealant.
Well, a tip, and also just a talking point generally, is that I think when when tubeless started to become popular in the peaks, I think a lot of people punctured because, sorry, well, punctured and had to stop because they were all too hard. And of course, if you've got a really high pressure in and you get a tiny hole in your tire, it just goes bang, and the
Yeah, yeah.
just goes out and it's flat as a pancake. Whereas I think interestingly, I've found with tubeless, and I could be proven wrong because it changes every year. You can have much more of a normal pressure, it's quite a lower pressure because then
Mm,
if it does get a nick, it doesn't all rush out. It just seals. So the high pressure is almost like a penalty really with tubeless tires, I think.
right.
So maybe there's a happy medium, but I've sort of slightly come down on my pressure since I've used tubeless. But yeah, it's always a bit worrying going to a new technology. And I rode on those Tuffo T34 tubs, the little red wall tubs. I rode on those
Yeah,
for
yeah,
years. They were so good, and you just can't get hold of them now.
yeah,
But the beauty of those were, you hear it go bang, and you'd think, well, right, I'll carry on riding because it's
yeah,
flat, and
yeah, yeah.
which you can't really do on anything else. But yeah, I didn't puncture those very often. They were
Mm.
a good tub. But yeah, yeah, it's another era really, and I think that the improvements that have been made are definitely every year it gets a little bit better. People are, slightly fewer punctures.
Yeah, and again, it's also the way you ride as well, isn't it? I mean, you've got to pick your lines, haven't you?
Hmm.
And I obviously I tend to go a bit slower to avoid the punches rather than just letting it go. So yeah,
Yeah,
I'd rather do that than lose the time with the punches. Obviously, coming
yeah,
down Wernside's your biggest one, isn't it? With your drainage ditches, you always see people, at the
yeah.
side of the track fixing punches. So
And
yeah,
that dilemma, yeah, I mean, it's interesting because we always tell ourselves we're going to descend slow, and then you get in a little battle with someone nearby, and you forget, don't you? And I think that's how
yeah,
it
yeah,
all happens.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, it is important to try and keep that level of control, but it's a race and it's tricky,
yeah,
it's
yeah,
difficult to get the balance right. And if you, I'm a big guy and descents are my kind of strong point. I don't go up hills particularly fast, and so I try and make up as much time as I can.
yeah,
And it's lovely
yeah,
because you can see people coming towards you, and you think, oh, it's another one ticked off, another,
yeah,
and you
yeah,
can very easily get sucked into that and forget and just overcook it.
yeah, 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 yeah,
Yeah, tricky.
yeah.
Um, so worst mechanical you've had then? What's almost brought you to a halt in it because you've finished them all? Have you snapped
Uh,
any chains or anything like that?
I can't. I think at worst mechanical. I've not snapped any frames. I've not snapped any components. I'd have just had gear issues. I think would be the main mechanical.
Hmm.
Normally, a few crashes. I had a few crashes one time where I must have broke my hand but carried on, and that was a few years ago. Cracked my helmet. Um, I can't remember what year that was again. They all merged into one. But yeah, a few offs,
Yeah.
but obviously still managed to carry on, which is good. Normally come into it with something broken, so yeah, that's normally the case.
Yeah, well, it's about I think my take on it is it's about how you handle the bad things because the bad things are gonna happen in the three. You're going to have a lot of bad moments. It's just about dealing with them, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think the one that the obviously the one that again just coming in with injuries. There was one year where I'd got taken off in a mountain bike race and I'd broken my shoulder, but again didn't know that I'd broken my shoulder. And then we all got those awards, didn't we, when we'd done 20 years?
Yeah.
And I'm stood with everybody else with them above the head, and I couldn't lift my arm above my head. I've just got the thing there, like so. I must have ridden it without being able to put my arm in the air, but I must have still been able to put my bike on the shoulder. And then there's the years where there was in 2019, I couldn't carry it on my right shoulder. I had to carry it on my left shoulder because I had like a broken collarbone, and that was like learning to write with your left hand when you're right-handed. That was just everything just goes
Yeah.
against like your natural. So it's like you were forever getting off on the wrong side and then having to run around, pick it up on your
Yeah,
front.
and the number of times you have to dismount and remount,
Yeah,
it's not insignificant. I imagine
yeah,
it,
yeah.
yeah, complete pain. Yeah.
And then yeah, and again, I think Simon Fell. I always know whether if I'm fit, I can walk up the grassy bank. If I'm unfit, I'm dragging myself up the fence. So that's always a sign. I know how I'm going. It's like each year. It's like, oh yeah,
I've only taken the fence line personally about two or three times. I always try and just come out away from it slightly because I've always got a feeling that I'll get stuck behind someone who's
yeah,
I don't know why. I don't know why, but it is easy to get footholds on Simon Fell. Even if you move out, but there's something psychological about having something to hang on to or a fence. I know
yeah,
it's tempting. It's tempting, but I've only really done it a couple of times. I think,
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
And
and
then sorry, then we've had the years where it's been that windy that you or like on Whernside and stuff where your bike is like a kite,
yeah,
and you're trying to put it on your shoulder, but it's flowing away from you. So you've had to like just put
yeah.
it on the ground and just push it because it's just flying away.
And yeah, I can vouch. So the year we talked about, the really bad year, 2012, I remember that on Pennygent, right at the summit. So you've got all of the wind. It was a really windy, nasty day anyway, but you've got all of the wind channeling up the valley, and it comes right up onto the summit. It's bad enough anyway, but I remember trying to get the bike on my shoulder and I couldn't get it off. That was the problem. The wind was so strong that I couldn't, because the bike was into the wind, I couldn't actually get the bike off my shoulder when I got to the top very well. I had to turn around and let it blow off. It was really weird. Do you have a bottle cage on your bike? Can you carry the bike with a cage on?
No, I use a camelback.
Right.
I always
Yeah.
have a bag on. So yeah, no, take the bottle cages off. I've
Mhm.
used the camelback for years, so
Yeah. Yeah.
one of the only few to be fair now.
No, I think that's a good strategy, especially for, I'm quite big, and so my triangle of my frame is large enough for me to be able to carry the
Uh,
bike with a bottle cage on. But yeah, I was trying to work that one out actually for Elsie, and with
I
having
find that the camelback strap as well gives you a bit of padding on your shoulder,
mm,
so
mm,
on that. So yeah, quite,
good tip there. Yeah, that's a good point. The bottle thing I've worked out over the years. For myself personally, there's only three places on the race you can drink anyway properly. So a camelback maybe will help, because you can take a little sip when you're on the summit of Whernside or whatever. Whereas you can only really take a bottle out on the road.
yeah,
If you've got a bottle cage. So it's
yeah. Then how many bottles do you see again that have fallen off as
yeah,
well? You see a lot of bottles falling off,
yeah,
and I've found like a saddlebag quite often will vibrate off as well. So if everything's in your camelback with your emergency blanket, that
yeah,
that helps. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's another good point. If anyone is using a bottle cage there, the tip is to just get a cheap aluminium one and bend
Mm.
it in so it's really, really tight. Carbon cages are great, but they don't hold a bottle as tight.
Yeah.
So I just get an alloy one and bend it really tight to keep the
Yeah,
bottle.
yeah, yeah. And again, just another thing over the years. Obviously, we all used to carry the massive orange bivy
Yeah,
bags,
yeah.
which was always people used to strap into the bikes, didn't they, as shoulder pads. That I'm sure people still do, but obviously that's evolved, and we've got the light silver ones now, which are a lot smaller. But that must have added an extra kilo on to
They
everybody.
were, yeah. We used to I can say it now because we don't have to carry those orange bivy bags anymore, but we used to cut them down so they were, I don't know, best height. Take about a quarter of the weight off them or half the weight. That's for the obsessives.
Still got my original one.
I think one of the years that Jebby used to ride in wheelbase, they you didn't have any decent file treads for the road section, so for cyclocross tires. So we got some cyclocross tires in the workshop. Someone got an angle grinder and tried to sand all the tread off them. The place stank for days apparently because of that.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, the kind of level of obsession that people can get about trying to have a little bit of advantage. Yeah. Oh, great. So this year, what are you hoping for? What's your plan? Just get around safely and enjoy it.
Well, yeah, that's always the main aim. It feels like there's a little bit of fitness there, not much, but just something. I'm just I've done a couple of rides with the lads recently, and sort of thought, oh, they're not waiting for me as long as they normally do.
Excellent.
So
Yeah.
that's positive. Yeah, again, I've got a training route that goes round Lamelode Reservoir up Shutlins Low, which is sort of some big like carry climbs near us. I get into the habit of doing that 2-3 times a week this time of year. Last year I did a lot of that, but I obviously just ended up um, steady walking, if you know what I mean. And I remember
Mm.
riding last year, and I wasn't fit enough to try. I was fine doing the distance, but there was no, like, I'm going to say top end, but I haven't
Yeah.
got any top end. But so I'm just trying to make just a bit more effort in training, really.
Yeah, good. Because I think it does kind of reward you all that training. And I think there's a temptation for people who are competing for first place or top fives to think that everyone else doesn't do any training, but you need to train because you need your body to be in good nick after it as well. You don't want to be
Yeah,
unable to walk for 10
yeah,
days afterwards.
yeah. I mean, you've got to do a bit, haven't you? Obviously, just to get round the
Mm.
peaks, um, and obviously, I mean, some of the women riders now are, exceptional. They're super fit, and it's good to see. But again, you have your own little battles wherever you are in your race, and even if it's your own battle just to finish, it's something to be achieved, isn't it?
Yeah, totally. And that's what it's always like. You see everybody, having a battle, coming in 5, 6 hours, they're still out trying to have a sprint with someone, whoever they're with. And
Yeah,
you've got to remember that, it's a race and they're out there. You're pushing yourself wherever you
yeah,
finish. Yeah.
yeah. The first person who's comes last has tried just as hard as the person who's comes
Well,
first. My eyes.
my brother would argue even harder because they've been at it for longer.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, but
Yeah,
it's a special event, isn't it?
well, totally.
And I think it's great that the team have carried it on from where John left it, and it's such a it's got an event with such history, and they've still kept it the same. So I think it's really really positive.
Yeah, and they've done a great job, and amazingly, it's I think we've had 12 editions now since John stepped down, which it seems like yesterday, probably to you and I.
Yeah, yeah, it does.
Yeah, and of course John did such a good job because uh, the it's always been, it's been a tricky thing, I think, with some of the landowners to keep the balance there.
Yeah, yeah,
It's a hard race to kind of to organise and maintain those relationships and things. And I know for a fact that if someone had the idea nowadays of organising a massive off-road bike race in a national park over 3 mountains, everyone would say, "Get out of here!
yeah,
That's not going to happen." So we're really lucky to have it. I think we're really lucky to have it.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I mean, again, I think Dean hinted on some issues that he'd had recently, but hopefully they can all be resolved.
Yeah.
And yeah, and I just remember one year I must have gone up to get some award, and I remember John Ronsley saying to me like, "Oh, you've ridden it many, many, many times," and that was like a special, that was good, that was
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
no, really nice. So yeah, good event.
Excellent. Well, Ruth, thanks so much. It's brilliant to talk about the three peaks with anyone, but someone with so much experience and another former winner that I've interviewed. It's absolutely brilliant. So thank you. Thanks for your time. I'll see you on the 28th. It's 28th this year. Last Sunday in
Yeah,
September. I'll see you there at the race, hopefully, and we'll have another catch up. Brilliant.
brilliant. Thank you.